Let's get into the weeds, but first, let's have a breakdown of each of your roles in the company and what exactly the solution is that you bring.
Both of us have been on this, I would say, for the last 2.5 years. What my founder looks at is the strategic planning, where we need, since there's a huge ecosystem which has to be developed, right from your farm level to your supply chain with your operations, and then end customer delivery, and bridging that gap is your e-commerce system. So the strategic input comes right from here, where, of course, with almost 25, 27, 30 years of experience, you're able to form that. What I look into is the hardcore execution of that, because yes, once the input comes, you have to be working with the team full on to make sure whatever has been planned is executed completely, end to end.
And as they say, the ideation is 1%, execution is 99. So I would say he's doing 99% of the job. I'm doing easier 1% of the job. But yes, I do support him in execution whenever required. But I'm very happy that I have a co-founder who is able to take this mantle of taking up the difficult task of execution.
So Santosh, you said you started 4 years ago. What was the ecosystem like back then versus what is it now? What is the impact you have had? And let's look at a chain which starts at the farmer and ends at my house today.
It actually started as a passion project. When early days of COVID, when I was sitting idle, which was very rare in last 27 years. So this is when my thoughts formed up, कि अब तो करना ही है. So that is when I started putting my thoughts together and started connecting to people. So till then, the natural farming was done by two kinds of people. One, big farmers who were doing as their part of their farming, as the natural farming, to build their name and build their brand equity in the market. And some passionate people who were doing farming as a hobby, not as a profession. So what we did was, I came down to North India, scouted some farms and took 2 farms on lease and started doing farming myself. So it started as a passion project for 6 months, 9 months, I would say. We were focused on farming ourselves, doing a natural farming. Then we realized this passion would sustain for long if we make it a profitable business, if we make it a viable business. That's when we thought that we need to build the entire supply chain and e-commerce ecosystem. Till then, we were going to the societies and selling in the societies and also selling to some of the shopkeepers in a B2B mode. Then we started working on building up e-commerce and supply chain network. Ishan joined the company as the co-founder, and we clearly divided our roles. And then we made an e-commerce company. And then what we did was also, we had a lot of people doing similar things at a smaller scale. So we started to create a collaborative force of them by either acquiring those companies and merging with us, or collaborating with them with a long-term partnership with farmer partners, with FPOs as partners, with aggregators as partners. So this is how this entire system built, because a passion would last for some time, but if you make that passion self-sustainable, as they say, कि पहले अपना ऑक्सीजन मास्क लगाएं फिर दूसरों की सहायता करें, तो अगर हमारा ऑक्सीजन मास्क लगा रहेगा तो हम दूसरों की सहायता कर पाएंगे. So that is where we tried to make it a sustainable business, and today we are at a path where we are in a growth stage company. So I think it's a journey very well done.
यार क्या लगता है दूसरों की सहायता करने में? What goes in for you to go from farm or to go from land to somebody's house? Why is it so difficult? It should be very simple. क्या है? तोड़ के लिया, रिक्शा में डाला, चला गया. Easy process.
Agreed. Simple तो बहुत होना चाहिए. But coming down to, ultimately we are sitting in India. India is by far a price sensitive market. I can tell you that, hey Akhil, hey Vishrut, I think you should consume this is better for your health. Your first reaction is not going to be, is it, or you're not going to be asking yourself, is it actually better for my health? Kitna extra dena hoga iska is going to be your first reaction. So on that, our biggest challenge actually is convincing the customer that yes, this is better for your health. For that, we've done a couple of things. We have had farm tours organized in the past, where we get customers to our actual farm where the produce is coming from. we have those farmers talking about the activities that they conduct over there, what is it that they're using, how they're growing it. The moment as a customer you're able to see that yes, this farmer is growing the produce like this for me, your confidence increases. You will once again and again and again come and purchase it from me. Ultimately, how we can be self-sustaining is when we have repeat customers, referrals, where we don't have to, unnecessarily spend on Meta and Facebook and give the money to them to get our orders in. I'm clearly saying not customers, our orders in. So these are a couple of activities which we conduct in order to convince our customers. We have a few customers who have been purchasing from us from almost day one, been almost 2.5, 3 years now, and they're still there with us. I'm not saying defaults do not happen on orders. Now, as a customer, yes, you want to come and purchase, say if you order 10 items, you want all 10 of them to come to you immediately. But when you're conscious about what you're eating, if one or two things do not come, keeping in mind, where your produce is coming from, you will understand and you will say, theek hai, there could have been quality issues. Ultimately, it is natural farming, it is organic farming, Jaivik farming, whatever you would want to name it. People are actually okay with it. But educating them about it is where the main challenge lies. And what I've noticed myself, as let's just take the time of our grandparents, probably in the 60s, 50s, 70s, we would hear our grandparents say कि भिंडी में कीड़े निकले हैं, इसमें कीड़ा निकला है, उसमें कीड़ा निकला है. How much do you actually hear that nowadays? Never. You'll never hear something like that. कीड़े निकल रहे थे because pesticides were not used at that point. Now there are so many pesticides used, there's going to be no keeda there. So the farms where we are procuring anything from, they will not be perfect. The leaves will have holes because fertilizers, pesticides have not been used. Insects will come and sit onto it. And we receive customer complaints like this, कि आपने तो मुझे फटा हुआ लीफी कुछ सामान भेज दिया है. There are holes in it.
आपकी पालक में तो छेद है.
हाँ, आपकी पालक में छेद है. It's a very common thing. And then that is when we say, okay, boss, this is proof that we are not supplying you with something which is adulterated. It is natural. It is organically grown. There are issues there. Yes, we'll replace it for you the next day. And that is one of the reasons why we're also not looking at quick deliveries. It's not that we can't get into that quick deliveries, but you use the 10-minute, 15-minute deliveries.
You can name them Zepto, Swiggy.
You use them. And to be honest, even I use them. But I use them if I want to indulge in Lays, if I want to have any of the snacks, I definitely use them. But if I want any of my fresh produce or anything which is healthy, I would never use them because I know things are coming. They are old. They're not the same day. And what we do, where we stand apart, is so you place your order the previous day. It is procured, plucked, harvested next day morning, and then delivered to you within less than 12 hours of harvest as well. Zero wastage. So we are only procuring against the order that is coming.
So I would add to what Ishan is saying, and on Akhil's question, that yes, it looks pretty easy. That there is farmers who are growing it, there is a business process needs to be set, and it needs to be supplied to the customers' houses. The process looks pretty simple, but there is variability at every stage, and that is what is business management is all about. The one is the variability at the nature side, on the farmer's side, because I would say farmers are the biggest risk-taking entrepreneurs. We talk of entrepreneurs taking risk, but the big entrepreneurs are not taking risk. The farmers are the biggest risk takers. They are dependent on whether what kind of फसल होगी, नहीं होगी, कीड़ा लगेंगे, नहीं लगेंगे, मौसम कैसा रहेगा, मंडी में क्या भाव मिलेगा. All those things is the risk which they are taking, but still they keep on taking this every crop cycle. So one is the variability on the farm side. Second is the variability on the entire logistics network side, where the vehicles have to reach on time. It is all people dependent also. It is sometimes road blockages are there, sometimes rains are there, sometimes. So it has to reach on time in our distribution center, then it has to reach on time to consumer. So this is the second variability, which is within the handling process and the supply chain process. And the biggest is consumer behavior. Because consumer is now, I'm sorry to say, but consumer is spoiled for choices by a lot of things, and probably we as consumers have started valuing the non-significant things more than the significant things. Like, I want my vegetables in 10 minutes, while my mom and my grandmom used to go to mandi once or twice a week and buy 4 days of vegetables or 7 days of vegetables and bring it back, because they wanted to buy fresh there for next 3-4 days, and twice a week they used to go there. So why can't we plan what we want to eat today for the lunch and what we want to eat today for the dinner and tomorrow for the breakfast and tomorrow for the lunch, and order in advance? Because then it will help farmer to reduce that variability. It will help companies like us to give you freshly harvested. What you're buying from a so-called quick commerce is something which is harvested 4 to 5 days old. So it has been kept into cold storages, warehouses, packed, and then your last mile is 10 minutes. But it was plugged from the farm 4 days back. While our last mile, we take order till midnight and deliver you by next day noon. It looks like a 12-day delivery cycle. But after you order, it is harvested early morning, reaches our warehouse by 8, and packed within an hour or so, and reaches to you by 12 or so. So we are giving you freshly harvested in the morning. So these are the things. So on the consumer side also, one, consumer has started expecting unrealistic things like 10 minutes delivery, like every piece of the naturally grown produce has to be perfect in looks and shape, which will not be. It's nature. All of us are not equal in terms of shapes and sizes as humans. So how the naturally grown vegetables and fruits would be. And also in terms of expecting the kind of pricing which some of these big players are offering, burning huge amount of money. But if we start doing that, then we will not be able to support our farmers and they will no longer continue the Jaivik farming. So these are few things which needs to be addressed. So yes, it is very simple process on the look of it, but it is a difficult task, and we are happy that my team has been able to do a great justice to this difficult task, and we are at a stage where we are a significant player in Delhi NCR in this domain.